অফ, তেজ, মরুদ, বোম, তাই তো? আমরা সবাই জানি পঞ্চভূত। তো পঞ্চভূতের মধ্যে আমাদের অলরেডি তেজ হয়ে গেছে, সানলাইট অ্যান্ড সানশাইন, সেটা হচ্ছে আমাদের টেরাহাট আইটেরাকেয়ার, সানশাইন এবং সানরাইজ হয়ে গেছে। বোম মানে হচ্ছে আকাশ, সব জায়গায় ফ্রিকোয়েন্সি, এখানেও বোম, এখানেও ফ্রিকোয়েন্সি, তাই দুটো পার্ট হয়ে গেল। তাহলে এখন বাকি থাকলো কি? অফ মানে জল আর বায়ু, তাই তো? তাহলে জলবায়ু ট্রেনিং হয়ে যাক। হ্যাঁ, জলবায়ু। হ্যাঁ, তো জলবায়ু
সুইচে হাত পড়ে গেছে, সুইচ অফ হয়ে গেছে।
এক্সাইটমেন্ট হয়ে যাচ্ছে, কিছু করার নেই। আচ্ছা, কি অমাইন্ড গেছে নাই? আচ্ছা, ঠিক আছে, তাহলে এবার শুরু করা যাক। কিন্তু এই অফ, জল আর বায়ু, এই দুটো, বায়ুটা মানে আমরা জলটা তো দেখতে পাই, কিন্তু বায়ু तो देखते पाई ना।
একটু হিন্দি বলুন।
ओ हिंदी, अच्छा ठीक है। तो अभी हम लोग क्या करेंगे, सब जगह हम लोग ये पसंद करते हैं कुछ डेमो हो जाए, प्रैक्टिकल कुछ हो जाए, ठीक है ना? तो बायो लाइट तो प्रैक्टिकल हो गया, ठीक है। आज से
সুইচে হাত পড়ে যাচ্ছে।
हाँ, जब हम लोग शुरुआत किया था उसी टाइम में हम लोग के पास ये बायो लाइट था नहीं, सुना था, तब भी सेल हो गया था, ठीक है। तो अभी क्या है, अभी ऑक्सीजन टैप आया है, ठीक है, जहां पे ऑक्सीजन भी है, वायु किस फॉर्म में, और पानी का फॉर्म में हम लोग कंज्यूम करेंगे, ठीक है ना। तो इसको देखना पड़ेगा पहले, ठीक है ना। कौन कौन देखा है अब तक? ऑक्सीजन टैप खुद देखा है, वन हैंड, टू हैंड, मेरा भी हैंड है, ठीक है ना, बाकी सबके पास नहीं है। तो वन ऑक्सीजन टैप just that is arrived in Kolkata, and in front of you I say request our respected CEO sir of TWG, Mr. Christopher sir, please come on stage to just unpack our host and Dr. sir also. Dr. sir also. Both of you, please help me welcome them and please unpack the product, the first oxygen in Kolkata. With a clap, thank you sir. Jore. যারা সাইলেন্ট তারা আগে হাতটা দিচ্ছেন, হাতটা খুলবে হাত থেকে, সাইলেন্সার খুলে হাতটা দিন। হ্যাঁ, তো জেসমিনা হিরোনের জন্য জোরে একটা হাততালি হয়ে যাক, সবজন এমনি, তাই তো? ওদের জন্য আমরা পেয়েছি, ওরাই অ্যারেঞ্জ করেছে, ওরাই পেজ কিনে নিয়ে এসছে, তো সেই জন্যে ওনার জন্য হাতে পেলাম। তো থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ জেসমিনা অ্যান্ড হুমায়ুন, তোমরা যেটা পেজ নিয়েছো, তোমরা এটা কিনে নিয়ে এসছো আমাদের জন্য। ওকে, নাও নলেজ, তাই তো? নলেজ তো লাগবে তো? তো নলেজ দেওয়ার জন্য আমাদের এখানে একজনই রয়েছেন, ঠিক আছে, প্রোডাক্ট অ্যাডভাইজার দাদা সোনা স্যার, প্লিজ হেল্প আস টু আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ড দ্য প্রোডাক্ট।
থ্যাংক ইউ। Thank you. Okay. Like that. Okay, so we are coming to the third part of the talk this afternoon. I'll try to do it as fast as possible because people say a hungry man is an angry man. So I don't want to get you hungry. All right? So now let's look at OxyTab. Now what's so special about OxyTab? Now can you tell me one supplement outside in whichever way, whether it's capsule or a device which is giving you oxygen? Have you found something so far? No. Now people understand oxygen as something which is, in the air, I breathe, it comes in, it's good. Now before this, the amount of oxygen amount of oxygen which was around was much higher than presently. It was about 30%. But as time went on and went on and went on, now we have about 21%. And our body is used to that. But because of the various complications, now why do you take other supplements? For example, minerals or vitamins or something other than that. What is the reason? Because there is a deficiency in the body, or you feel it may help you further. Okay? So you are taking that supplement. So this is like a supplement to you, which means that your body it may have something which is not enough. So by giving you extra, your body is going to work even better. And a lot of problems which are people having because of the lack of oxygen is being overcome. And especially now, after the COVID, many people are having problems with breathing, or their system is not functioning as they should. So the amount of oxygen may not be as good as it should be. So we shall see a little bit about how it works. Now this is what the device is. Okay, it's a simple device. We shall see later what it can do. Alright. Now first of all, then look at the health problems because of oxygen. First of all, because of lack of oxygen, the word which they use is hypoxia. So hypoxia is a lack of oxygen. So sometimes you have body aches. You think, what did I do that I am having body aches? The simple reason could be because of a lack of oxygen. Alright? And then you go for a walk, you go for a run, and you're feeling better. Because the amount of oxygen now has increased. Alright? The next thing is insomnia, sleeping problems. And then you have low energy, cancer itself. Now what is cancer? Cancer normally is a result of that area where it is not functioning as it should. So what are the conditions where cancer thrives on? Number one, oxygen, lack of oxygen. So if you go to the hospital because of cancer, what will the doctor do normally? They give you oxygen. Sometimes they have a tank for you. You can't take it with you. Oxygen plays a big part. So when there is lack of oxygen, that area becomes anaerobic. Now what is anaerobic? Something which doesn't have oxygen. What is aerobic? An area which has oxygen. So your body is supposed to be aerobic. But because it's anaerobic, cancer thrives. Because it's lacking in oxygen. Number two is the acidity. If the body, that area is more acidic, then cancer loves it. Alright? It works very well there. Number three is sugar. You like to take sugar, cancer feeds on sugar. So for people with cancer, you cut off the sugar, you make that place aerobic, putting more oxygen, turning that place also to be alkaline. The pH level is a bit higher. You find that the cancer now cannot survive. So once first it stops, then slowly it diminishes because it cannot survive there. Alright? So this is helping with that. So the next thing is diabetes. Even diabetes, the pancreas also need oxygen. And the dementia, Alzheimer's, what does that mean? That area needs the oxygen for the thing to survive and for the electrical stimulation to work. The moment when the oxygen becomes less, the dendrites in that area, they might die. So the amount of dendrites there might be lesser. What does that mean? The synapses, the electrical stimulation goes down. So then you start having dementia. Alright? And then arthritis, inflammation, concentration and focus, everything deals with oxygen. Myopia, eyes, and eczema, even eczema, and asthma especially. Asthma is the amount of oxygen which is coming in because of how the condition of your bronchus, as to how they are. So they limit the amount of oxygen which is coming in. So about 60% of the problems, health problems, are linked to hypoxia, lack of oxygen. Okay? So, and another one is when you don't have oxygen, the mitochondria cannot produce energy. Now, what is the mitochondria? Now, when you have a cell, inside the cell, you call that cytoplasm. Cytoplasm? The cytoplasm, it needs energy, it needs hydration, because 70 to 80% of the plasma inside is water. So when you don't drink enough, less water, less energy, and all other functions become lowered. The moment the hydration is high, everything starts working. The mitochondria starts working. And when the oxygen goes in good quantity, the amount of energy produced increases. Normally from around 2 ATP can go up to about 32 ATPs. ATP is adenosine triphosphate. Alright? Okay, next. Now, again, it needs for many functions. Here, repair of cells after injury. You still need the oxygen. To keep the cells young and alive. To fight infections. Carry out normal cell functions. For all that you need oxygen. Okay? So a person can survive without drinking water for 2 days, without eating for 7 days, but cannot survive a moment without oxygen. Alright? So even our brain, they consist of about 80 billion neurons. And these neurons need the oxygen to function. So if your supply is good, that means the blood can go up, can bring the oxygen to that area, all the neurons work and all the other functions work properly. But if it becomes less, then you start running into problems. So that's what it means, right? Okay? So even a brief moment when there is a lack of oxygen, suddenly the area beyond that area where the lack of oxygen is, many of them die. So that area, the function becomes less. Now if the area is where it controls your motor movements, then you have problems like Parkinson and other problems. If that area is where the memory is, then you start having dementia, Alzheimer's. So you need to keep them functioning well. That's what it means, right? Okay. Now, when you use this water, now what it does is, it uses the water which you give. Whatever good drinking water, it pulls inside, goes to the back, separates it, takes out the hydrogen, brings back the oxygen, puts back into the water. It infuses the oxygen into the water. So now the water contains more oxygen than before. This is the idea of this. So this is how the supplementation works. Alright? So when you drink, these studies show that increased oxygen levels in the blood vessels by drinking 350 ml of oxygenated water by 10 times. Just 350 ml increases about 10 times the amount of oxygen in the body. Okay? And in the liver, it's 6 times more. Alright, the amount of oxygen. These are studies done to see what happens. So this is what they found. In the liver is 6 times more, and then in the body is 10 times more absorption. Alright? Now some of you might ask, what about the other things like hyperbaric and other ways where they breathe and all that? Now people have used that. Even Michael Jackson has an hyperbaric chamber where he lies down and then he goes out. So what happens is, this is coming through the air, right? The amount of oxygen in the air. that can create toxicity, number one. Number two is the moment he comes out, the increase is only about 1-2% and very fast it goes off. Alright? But this is infused into the water, you're drinking it, you don't have that problem, and the amount of oxygen which goes inside now is increased tremendously. Alright? Okay, the next one. Until now, you do not have something called oxygen supplementation. You can just buy something and say, okay, this is oxygen, and you eat. And then you also have bottles, some of them, they say oxygenated water. Alright, I'll show you afterwards the content of them. Until now, you have this device which is specially developed, specially done, researched and done by a person, scientist. He's from Singapore. Last year I was with him 1 month in Europe, so we were having lots of discussions. And what he did was, he was formally working with the Singapore government to do with, he's on the board for their water. How they, they don't have much water, so they bring in from the sea and they convert into drinking water. He was on that board. And then he was in the Singapore army, where they create things which is bad for other people, because in the army. Then when he left the army, he came up with this, where he's now curing people, making people healthy. So that's how he came up with this. And this technology is, I can say, the first and only one until now. And the reason for it to be expensive, in fact I asked him, why are you making it so expensive, so difficult for people? Why can't you sell cheaper? He said, if you have others in the market, they are using cheap material, which can give you problems. Because there's another thing called ozone, right, which is a byproduct. Now here he's using titanium, and titanium is not cheap. And secondly, it's because of the technology. He said, that is why I cannot afford to sell it cheap. That is why the price is like this. Alright? So that's the reason given. Okay? So now it is light and compact, it's effective, and is of high value. Alright? So we buy a lot of things. We can buy a car, we can buy a house, and this is for you. Okay? I found that. So what I did is, I bought one device, I left it at home. All I told my family, my daughter is staying with me for now, and my wife, try this water. So then after trying for about a month, they asked, what is this? I can feel the difference. I can see their skin is getting better, right? Their weight is more under control, right? And I can see when they used to complain about problems, that problem, this problem, the complaints are no more there. They seem to be, everything is okay. And my wife, she likes to travel, and I find that when she travels, she's not able to travel without any complaints. Otherwise she'll come back with, tired and that and this. No, nothing like that, right? Okay, now, when you look at this, okay, Oxytap can generate dissolved oxygen water. So what it does is,